Yashodanandana Brajajana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Puja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Puja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Nagari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. John Vishnupada, Prabhupada Sabhavita Shuddha Shakti Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, John Vishnupada, Prabhupada Sabhavita Acharya Ashuta Shakti Sri Srimad, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Pavanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavati Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 26, titled The Hellish Planets, texts 22 and 23. So I'll just read 22 and we can repeat 23. There's no meter to these verses because they're prose like most of the fifth canto is. And then 26. Yeah, so 5, 26, 23 is what we'll be repeating. I'll start with 22. Yete viha vai rajanya, raja parusha va apakanda, dharma setun, bindanti te samparetya, Vaitaranyam nipatanti bina maryadas tasyam niraya parika bhutayam nadyam yado ganer atas tato bhakshyamana atmana na viyuj yamanash chasubir yo yamana swagena karma pakam anusmaranto veen mutra puya shronita kesha nakasti medo mamsa vasa vahinyam upatapyante. And then text 23. Ye tiv iha vai virshali patayo nashta shoch chachara niyamas tyakta lajja pashucharyam charanti te chapi pretya puyavin mutrashleshma mala purnarnave nipatanti tad evati bibha tistam ashanti. Would you like to repeat, Prabhu? No, just if you want to, like, no, okay. We'll just go to the word by word then. Yea, persons who, to, but, iha, in this life, vai, indeed, vrishali pataya, the husbands of the Shudras, nashta, lost, shocha achara niyama, whose cleanliness, good behavior, and regulated life, tyakta lajja, without shame, pashucharyam, the behavior of animals, charanti, they execute, te, they, che, no, cha, also, api, indeed, pretya, dying, puya, of pus, vit, stool, mutra, urine, Shleshma, mucus, Mala, saliva, Urna, full, Arnave, in an ocean, Nipatanti, fall, Tat, that, Eva, only, Atibi Pat Sitam, extremely disgusting, Ashnanti, they eat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I'll read text 22, which doesn't have a purport, and then go on to 23. A person who is born into a responsible family, such as a kshatriya, a member of royalty, or a government servant, but who neglects to execute his prescribed duties according to religious principles, and who thus becomes degraded, falls down at the time of death into the river of hell, known as Vaitarani. This river, which is a moat surrounding hell, is full of ferocious aquatic animals. When a sinful man is thrown into the river Vaitarani, the aquatic animals there immediately begin to eat him. But because of his extremely sinful life, he does not leave his body. He constantly remembers his sinful activities and suffers terribly in that river, which is full of stool, urine, pus, blood, hair, nails, bones, marrow, flesh, and fat. The shameless husbands of low-born Shudra women live exactly like animals, and therefore they have no good behavior, cleanliness, or regulated life. After death, such persons are thrown into the hell called Puyoda, where they are put into an ocean filled with pus, stool, urine, mucus, saliva, and similar things. Shudras, who could not improve themselves, fall into that ocean and are forced to eat those disgusting things. Purport. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung Karmakanda, Janakanda, Kevala Vishebanda, Amrita Baliya Ebekaya, Nana Yoni Sada Pire Kadarya Bhakshana Kare Tara Janma Ada Patiyaya. He says that persons following the paths of Karmakanda and Jnanakanda, fruitive activities and speculative thinking, are missing the opportunities for human birth and gliding down into the cycle of birth and death. Thus, there is always the chance that he may be put into the Puyoda Naraka, the hell named Puyoda, where one is forced to eat stool, urine, pus, mucus, saliva, and other abominable things. It is significant that this verse is spoken especially about Shudras. If one is born a Shudra, he must constantly return to the ocean of Puyoda to eat horrible things. Thus, even a born Shudra is expected to become a Brahmana. This is the meaning of human life. Everyone should improve himself. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Varnam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, 4 divisions of human society were created by me. Even if one is by qualification a Shudra, he must try to improve his position and become a Brahmana. No one should try to check a person, no matter what his present position is, from coming to the platform of a Brahmana or a Vaishnava. Actually, one must come to the platform of Vaishnava. Then he automatically becomes a Brahmana. This can be done only if the Krishna consciousness movement is spread, for we're trying to elevate everyone to the platform of Vaishnava. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman prityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Abandon all other duties and simply surrender unto me. One must give up the occupational duties of a Shudra, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, and adopt the occupational duties of a Vaishnava, which includes the activities of a Brahmana. Krishna explains this in Bhagavad Gita. Mam hi parta viya pashritya yepi suya papayonaya Shriyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras Tepi Yanti Param Gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, as well as Shudras, can approach the supreme destination. Human life is specifically meant for going back home, back to Godhead. That facility should be given to everyone, whether one be a Shudra, a Vaishya, a woman, or a Kshatriya. This is the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. However, if one is satisfied to remain a Shudra, he must suffer as described in this verse. Tad evat tibi bhat sitam ashnanti. Om Megina Termandasya, Kinanjana Shlakaya, Chakshamitamyana Tasmai Shri Guru Vedama. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Sari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are continuing with our discussion of the different hellish planets that are present in the universe, what sort of sinful activities correspond to what punishments. So sort of like our own Vedic version of Dante's Inferno. Of course, the difference being that our descriptions are accurate, while Dante is just poetry. And in these verses, we are hearing about the fate, about the punishment of those who neglect their duties. Both those who are born into a responsible position. The verse gives the example of Kshatriyas, kings, those in the government. But I would say that also includes people such as Brahmanas, other responsible posts, that if they fail their specific prescribed duties, all of the different varnas and ashrams have their own dharma, their own prescribed duties that are delineated in the Vedic literatures. And if one does not follow these, one has to suffer in the way mentioned in this verse. And also, if one neglects the overarching responsibility of human life, it is not just that if one is born or placed into a responsible position, that one has responsibility. Nowadays, we might think that somebody is elected to be the president or a congressman, or even a mayor or something, they should act according to a certain standard. So, they've been given this position that comes with responsibility. But me, no, I don't have any responsibility. I'm not the president. I'm just some average guy who is, trying to go to work, make ends meet, responsibility. I'll just, don't talk to me about that. I'll just do my work, make some money, give some, after all the bills are paid and, there's food in the fridge for my family. If there's a little bit left over, I'll go to the bar and enjoy. Don't talk to me about duties. I have enough of that at work. But actually, the human form of life itself is a duty. Uh, you know, talking about specifically in the second verse that we read about the position of Shudras. And actually, in Kali Yuga, and in every Yuga actually, but especially in Kali Yuga, everyone is born a Shudra. Even one in previous ages who was born into a family of a higher caste was considered a Shudra until certain reformatory processes, the different samskaras, could be performed, such as the Upanaya, bestowing of the sacred thread, which shows that one has progressed from that point, from the point of birth to a more cultured, or one could say even civilized existence. Because if one actually analyzes the current culture, current society, it is not very civilized in that there is very little difference between the lifestyle and animal life. We are told that animal life, or one can see that animal life consists of four things: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And human life also includes those things. We have to have some sort of shelter from the elements, whether houses or even just clothing is defending from the elements. We all must eat, we all must sleep, and at least some portion of human society must also mate. But the difference between human life and animal life, not even getting into spiritual life, is that humans do so according to regulation. Animals have no sort of idea of when to do these things and when not to do these things. Sometimes it can be controlled a little bit due to training. So, for example, now there's a group of us that have taken up training the two young oxen in order to follow commands and things. And one thing that they learn is that, when you're working, or that they learn throughout the training, is that when you're working, you don't stop for a snack. Because eventually if we have them, plowing the fields or pulling things out of the forest or something like that, you don't want to, wait 5 minutes whenever for them to munch on some grass. So there can be some training, some regulation, but the human form of life is marked by that, by regulation, which comes from training. that differentiates it from the way that animals do these four activities. And this is very much missing in modern culture. The whole mindset is actually very different in that if one tries to put any sort of regulation, people will be very upset. People, the whole ethos is that as long as there is consent, which is to say desire, then everything is permitted. You can do absolutely whatever you want as long as the parties involved desire it. And if anybody does try to put restrictions, then it is considered, according to the modern ethos, that the one putting restrictions is the sinful one. Even, I guess several months ago now, there was, a restriction placed in some states, at least, that, okay, they aren't trying to take away people's right to enjoy sex life, illicit sex. But they say, okay, if you have illicit sex and then a pregnancy results, you can no longer kill the baby. And people were so upset that how are you putting this restriction? You are destroying our rights. This is the level of human thinking at this present age, that there is no conception of higher life. I talked last week about the position of, so the verse was talking about the degrees to which different sorts of offenders are punished. And the one that was punished the most were those who were just totally atheistic, who said basically, forget about all this God stuff. Who needs it? We'll just rely on our quantum fields to make meaning out of life. And actually, in this society, we see the end results of that sort of thinking. There was we had a talk, the kind of operational team on the farm had a talk with our Guru Maharaj, the Guru Maharaj of most of us here, Devamrita Swami. And he was saying some statistics for millennials and higher. I can't remember the exact number, but something like 43%. That number is coming to mind for some reason. Believe that open relationships, that there's nothing wrong whatsoever with having an open relationship. And among Gen Z, I also can't remember the exact statistics, but I know that it was higher than 50%. So most people in Gen Z, the youngest generation that is kind of not just, toddlers or something like that, see nothing wrong with, having no restrictions in a relationship, to the point where there is, barely even any thing that defines a relationship. Because what meaning is there to dating somebody or being married to somebody if there's not that commitment? But it's, this commitment is restriction, and there should be no restriction. Because if there is no God, as the atheists say, who is there to give restriction? Right? Nature is not giving restriction other than, you must be born, you must get sick, you must get old, and you must die. But within that, one can go out to the forest and do whatever one wants. So if one sees only that there is nature, and also the mentality of what they believe nature is like, in that life in the natural state, in this kind of Darwinian slaughterhouse, really, where not life is nasty, brutish, and short. Why should one not get, if one believes that reality is like that, why should one's own behavior not reflect just unlimited desire? But the Vedic literatures tell us that that is not actually human life. Human life is supposed to be progressive in that one is supposed to elevate oneself from from whatever position one is at, one is currently inhabiting. And a lot of this was done by the social system of the Vedic society, which is Daiva Varnashram Dharma, where one can act according to their propensities that they have in life, according to their kind of nature and their stage in life, which is the Varnashram part, but also focus on Krishna, which is the Daiva part. And in doing so, one's mentality actually increases gradually. So that even if one is born a Shudra, or a Vaishya or a Kshatriya, or even a Brahmana for that matter, one can still make progress on the path towards Krishna consciousness. In that one can always be trying to do service to Krishna, and in doing so, become more and more fixed in one's duty as a living entity, really. Because actually all living entities have the duty, the need to go back to Krishna. It's just that only in the human form of life can one actually do something about it. The trees should also be striving to go back to Krishna. But, if you're in a tree body, what are you going to do about it, right? Of course, maybe the trees in Gita Nagari are different. We are a Dom. The trees outside this window get darshan of Radha Damodar every day. So who knows what sort of progress they're making. But in general, the human form of life is the only form of life where one can actually do something about it. So one should take advantage of this human form of life in order to come to the proper platform of devotional service. And the way that this is done is by taking advantage of the process of devotional service. The process of bhakti is such that the process and the goal are the same. We perform devotional service so that we might perform devotional service better. Of course, in the beginning stages, we are at the stage of sadhana bhakti. In that basically we might or might not have the taste or consistently have the taste, but we try to do our service anyway. You know, some days I might have taste for chanting japa. Other days I might not. But still, it's like, okay, I have made a vow before the deities, before my spiritual master, before the sacred fire, that I will chant 16 rounds every day. So I will do so. And eventually, if one performs the process, one will become steady in one's taste for chanting and other processes, and do devotional service out of one's own natural feelings. And one of the advantages, or one of the good things about true worldview, the Vedic worldview, is that one has as many chances as one needs to actually come to this platform. That is the advantage, one could say, of reincarnation. In other systems of religion, the philosophy is such that it is one and done. In that you have one life. If you happen to hear about Jesus or Muhammad or whoever, and you happen to be told in such a way that you will believe it, no matter how badly the person explained the philosophy to you, then at the end of life, if you accept, then okay, you get eternal paradise. And if you don't accept, then you get eternal torment. On the other hand, the Vedic worldview that we know as correct from Srimad Bhagavatam and the other Vedic literatures is far more actually consistent with a loving God who wants to see his children, the living entities, advance in that, okay, you didn't quite make it this life. You can come back in the next life and take up from where you left off. Because it's not that everybody is able to complete the process of devotional service in one lifetime. I know in my own example, I recently had a consultation with a devotee who's an astrologer who knows the whole Nadi system, so he can tell what your past lives are and how they're impacting this one. I was told that in my past life, I made some mistakes in my devotional service. And that's where the problems in my current life are coming from. I didn't make it in my past life. But I get to try to rectify it in this life. It's not that, oh, you offended your guru in your past life, therefore you have to spend eternity in hell. No, you get the results from it, and people who are qualified can see where those results are coming from, and what those will be. And then you deal with it, and then you move on and try not to make that mistake again. So yes, we should all be trying to progress on the path of devotional service to perfect our human form of life. Ideally, we should all try to do it in this lifetime. But even if we don't quite make it, we should try to at least die better than we were born, so to speak. All right. So I'll end here. I'll ask first before going to Zoom, I'll ask if our in-person audience has any questions or comments.
One comment and one question. We were speaking how people there are saying, well, we can do whatever we like because, okay, there is no God and there is nature, but nature is actually apart from birth, death, which is not really like putting us in some very like firm things, small things. But actually, if you think about that, yes, we do have the right to do whatever we like, but the ways actually to get a good result from your actions are very much particular. And so many examples can be given. Like, for example, you have a computer. You may say, I have the right to do whatever I like in this computer. That's true. But to get a good result from this computer, you have to operate the computer in a very, very particular way. The same with our body. We can say, well, I have the right to eat the way how I want. I can put it in my ears, in my eyes. Who will tell me what to do? How? No, it's very, very particular way to do this activity. Otherwise, you won't get the good result.
Yes, that's true. You do need to act in a particular way to get a good result. But the point I was making with the kind of current ethos or current mentality is that the freedom, so to speak, of doing whatever you want is seen as the good result in itself, or like the immediate gratification of it. Right. So they see the pleasure, for example, of illicit sex to be the good result in and of itself, not thinking that, oh, by enjoying in this way, there's so many bad results, for society, for one's own mentality and bodily constitution. So yes, that is true that in the natural course of things, that one has to use the material energy in a proper way to even get a good material result. But that's Vedic society, right? Who actually understands the material energy. And part of that good result is elevation throughout one's life.
My question is, I think.
Yeah. So do any of our Zoom audience have any comments or questions? I see Madhupan Leela Masuji has given the statistics. It's that 32% of people over 50 think it's okay to have an open marriage, and 52% of people under 50. Yes, Madhupan Leela.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I will.
I have a hi, Bo. Thank you for your class. It's very nice to hear your realizations. I have a technical question, a detailed question about this chapter. Maybe you can clear my mind. In the beginning of the chapter, it talks about how there's only like 8 or 20 hellish planets, and then how we're going through them now for the different sinful reactions of people. But in today's day and age, it seems as though these sinful reactions, like that people are doing, these designated hell planets for specific activities, are just day-to-day activities for people, and the offenses they're committing are actually like much greater. So I was wondering if there's actually more hellish planets than what's described in Srimad Bhagavatam, or if they cater for Kali Yuga.
That is a good question. I don't know if I have a definitive answer. Let me see exactly what the verse says, the number. I do know that generally in the 5th canto, so we've been, reading the previous chapters about the cosmology, that that Shukadeva Goswami is only describing the main portions of the cosmology. In that, he's not going into details about every single one. I do see, as the verse that you said, that some say there's 21 and some 28. So some authorities say differently. So there's some technical disagreement. I suppose that there could be more. As far as the concessions for the age of Kali Yuga, it is, so one still is gaining karma by the sinful activities that one is doing, even if it's day-to-day activities. Of course, we do read that the severity of one's punishment is different depending on one's common mentality. Those who are just ignorant suffer less than those who know the proper injunctions and decide to act sinfully anyway. But even if it's day-to-day activities in Kali Yuga, one is still getting karma for it. Prabhupada gives the example of, if you have a fire chief, some sort of firefighter who is very expert in fire, and you have just a child who is who knows nothing about the world. Both of them stick their hand into the fire. Both of them will get burned, even though one is an expert in fire and one knows nothing about fire. Likewise, if people commit sinful activities, whether they know they're sinful or not, there's still some reaction there. Whether that ends up a person going to one of the hellish planets or just a lower form of life, that I think is on a case-by-case basis, because the laws of karma are very intricate, and I don't have the Shakti to see all of the destinations of the various living entities. Tarka Prabhu. John,
Hare
who has some
Krishna.
comments about these things.
Thank you very much for another wonderful class.
Thank you.
With regards to the question of the number of hellish planets and the punishments described, it appears that Shukadeva Goswami is giving only a very brief summary of what are perhaps broader categories of hellish planets, because in text 37 of this same chapter, it says, "My dear King Parishit, in the province of Yamaraj, there are hundreds and thousands of hellish planets. The impious people I have mentioned, and also those I have not mentioned, must all enter these various planets according to the degree of their impiety. Those who are pious, however, enter other planetary systems, namely the planets of the demigods. Nevertheless, both the pious and impious are again brought to earth after the results of their pious or impious acts are exhausted." I know that there are more detailed descriptions in other literatures. In Garuda Purana, for example, you can find tremendous detail of all different aspects of life after death. It goes into tremendous detail. There's much more than what you find here. So for whatever it's worth, that's Shri Shri Radha Damodar. Hare Krishna.
Very well. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Radha Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodara Jai Lalita, Vishaka Lalita, Vishaka Sri Radhe. Jai Lalita, Vishaka Lalita, Jai Lalita, Vishaka Lalita, Vishaka Sri Radhe. Jai Lalita, Vishaka Lalita. Jaya Nitai Gora Sundar Nitai Sundar Gora Hari. Jaya Nitai Gora Sundar Nitai Jaya Nitai Gora Sundar Nitai Sundar Gora Hari. Jaya Nitai Gora Sundar Nitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Bando Mui Savanana Mate Bando Mate Bando Mui Savanana